How's it, everyone? Welcome to another string review right here on OpenCourt. So today I'm reviewing a string from a company that's been around for a while. I've heard of them, but I've never actually tried any of their strings. So I was excited to get to this playtest. And so today I'm talking about the Diadem Solstice Black. Let's check it out. So Diadem makes some rackets and strings, and from what I've heard, they're actually pretty good. So I was excited to finally get my hands on a Diadem string. So this Solstice Black is made with something called the Star Core technology, which, as you guys can see from this picture here, this is what this string is shaped like. And the back of the package here, it says the most aggressively shaped string on the market. It is pretty aggressively shaped, as you can see, but that is a bold claim considering Volkl, for example, makes some pretty very aggressively shaped strings, or even like Y-Tex. There are some very aggressively shaped strings out there. So what is this shape supposed to do? Obviously, it's supposed to grab the ball and give it a little bit more bite, more spin. This also has a very high power and comfort level, so I'm guessing that this is going to be on the softer side. So I have the 17 gauge of the Diadem Solstice Black strung up in my Wilson K-Factor 6195. I strung it at 52 in the mains and 50 in the crosses. So what I'm looking for with this string is decent power, decent comfort, but mostly just the spin generation. So I'm excited to finally try out a Diadem string for the first time. So let's get on the court and see how this plays. So Diadem I've heard of, but I've never used their strings before, so I was excited to test them out. I really knew nothing going into this playtest. All that I knew that this was a star-shaped string, so I kind of expected it to behave like Volkl strings, which also have aggressively shaped strings. And the biggest pro that I can say about this Diadem Solstice Black is that it does get great spin, especially on the kick and the slice serves at the beginning. I'll touch on this a little bit later, but the kick serve was definitely the highlight of this playtest, and because the string is soft, it clears the net very easily. I rarely ever hit kick serves into the net with this, and I got the ball bouncing up and away from my opponent, and I was able to follow it up into the net. So I believe that this is a good serve and volley racket, even on the deuce side when serving out wide with the slice. Again, because it's soft, it has decent power, and I'm able to clear the net at a higher clip than with other stiffer polyester strings on that low slice serve. Also, when I got up to the net, because it's soft and packs a decent punch all on its own, I really didn't have to swing at hard. I don't swing much on volleys anyway, and so it complemented my game. All I had to do was block the ball back, and I was able to get it deep at my opponent's feet and keep the pressure on. It's also soft, like I said earlier. It's very comfortable for a polyester. It's almost a little bit springy feeling, which I typically don't like, but I think that a lot of people who like using polyester but want a softer alternative, the Diadem Solstice Black could be a good option for you, although I do know there are some other softer strings out there, and I don't think this is the best option as a soft poly, but it is better than a stiffer one if you are experiencing some elbow problems. Because it's so soft, it also gets easy power, especially on that flat serve. Like I said earlier, the kick and slices were good. The flat serve, I was able to clear the net at a high percentage. I usually don't use the flat serve a lot, especially with the stiffer poly, because I tend to hit it into the net. My flat serve is not a great consistent serve for me, but I felt like I could hit all the serves with the Solstice Black, and easily the serves were the highlight of this playtest. It also gets easy depth on slices. I was able to knife those slices deep at my opponent's feet and follow it up into the net. The Solstice Black has a very high launch angle because of its power and its softness. So if you're struggling to keep the ball deep, if you're even a defensive player that wants a little bit more help in that department, the Solstice Black will give you that net clearance, although I would caution you from using it in an extremely open pattern like a 16 and 18 because of certain factors, which we will now talk about. So now getting into the cons, the biggest con of the Solstice Black, well, there's two, but the first one is that the strings get stuck out of place very quickly due to that aggressive shape. This is why I don't recommend using the Solstice Black in a very open string pattern, because it's going to move even more and it's going to stay stuck out of position more, and that's going to actually reduce the spin because it's not snapping back, and you're going to end up hitting the ball long past the baseline more often. Volkl strings will play a lot deader, but they'll continue to snap back, so you can take aggressive swings, get that spin, and get that ball dipping inside the baseline. I couldn't say the same with the Solstice Black, especially if I was stepping into the court and hitting an approach shot ground stroke. I tended to sail the ball long a lot, and I was definitely tentative on taking an aggressive stroke whenever I was approaching the net. Because confidence and your mental game is such a huge part of tennis, I wasn't comfortable playing with this string from the baseline, especially with my aggressive style where I like to hit approach shots. I couldn't get into a groove from the baseline with the Solstice Black. It was fine if I was playing doubles and serving and volleying primarily, but I could not feel confident in long, drawn-out rallies where I was forced to put the ball away on my own terms. The second biggest downside with the Solstice Black is that the durability isn't great because the aggressive shape causes a lot of friction burn, and because it's soft. I actually broke this string on the 5th playtest, and I haven't broken strings in a long time, mostly because I just cut them out once the tension drops, and I also test out a lot of strings. I don't keep playing with strings until they break. The Solstice Black broke on me, which was very surprising, and that's why I can't really recommend it to people with aggressive swings, because that friction burn is going to cause the strings to snap very quickly. And because it's so soft, the tension doesn't maintain very well either. So now let's answer the question, who is the Diadem Solstice Black for? So out of all the strings that I've play tested so far this year, I think that the Solstice Black is the one that's most suited more towards intermediate level players who want to get more spin, power, and comfort from their strings. I don't think this string will suit advanced players with fast strokes because, number one, the strings are going to get stuck out of place with fast aggressive strokes, and then that will cause friction burn and they will break the strings quickly. If you're an advanced player and looking for an aggressively shaped string that'll help keep your ground strokes in the court, Volkl Cyclone is a good option. Solinco Tour Bite is a good option. You probably have good strokes and fluid mechanics anyway, so you probably don't mind a stiffer string. I would stick with those because they'll give you better tension maintenance and better durability. The Diadem Solstice Black will give players spin, power, and comfort and higher, easier net clearance, but that's probably best for the intermediate level players who want their strings to provide them with that a little bit more. I don't think the Solstice Black is suited for more advanced players, simply because of the fact that I think they're gonna break this string very quickly. Thanks for watching this review of the Diadem Solstice Black string right here on OpenCourt. If you guys like this content, be sure to overhead smash that like and subscribe button, and I'll see you on an OpenCourt.